We are both entrepreneurs. I guess I'm curious to start off, how many people in here are already entrepreneurs or already running their own business? Okay, so quite a few. And how many people are back at the point of thinking about starting their own business or running their own business? Okay, so it's half and half. Um, you want, okay. I guess the thing I want to say to start off for first and foremost is that I'm not here. I don't think Sharkini is either to give you any kind of fast or easy advice as to how to become an entrepreneur. Um, Now 3 years in myself, how many years for you, Shar? 6 years for Sharkina. I've quickly learned that there is no fast, easy way to anything. So a little bit of background on myself. I went to law school starting in 2004. 2005, I was diagnosed. I have never practiced. I did spend a lot of time at home living in fear. I've only recently, the past 3 years ago, bought out an existing business in Chicago and am now running that business. Do you want to give a little background?
Sure. I had a great idea that I wanted to own a business in college, and like we were talking about before, and I thought it would be really fun and crazy and a good time. So I put it out into the universe and forgot about it for a little bit. Did the corporate thing, thought that's what I was supposed to do, and then decided it wasn't for me after I saw corporate, which there's nothing wrong with it. It just was not for me. And then opened up my own event planning firm in 2009 and have been going ever since. So,
I guess my personal unique perspective as a person with narcolepsy is that I realized after being diagnosed in 2005 that the one thing that I needed to be my greatest strength, which was reading huge books with tiny print and absolutely no pictures, is actually my kryptonite, and I'm terrible at. So I realized that law. I did still finish school. I was told that I should probably leave after the first year, but being a person with narcolepsy, and I know this is not indicative of people with narcolepsy, but I find that most of us are very driven to succeed and accomplish as much as we humanly can. So I did stay. I did. You can't. Okay. I did stay, and I did complete school. But like I said, once I got out into the world, I realized there's no way. And I did work in a couple firms, and I realized there's no way I could sit and do hours of research in the dark and then come out into the light and write a paper on what I had just read, especially when I was like asleep 5 words in. So I think that really and I'm going to start from the beginning because there was somebody who just asked if this was just for people who had an existing business. And so I'm going to start for a few minutes about people who don't have any idea what they want to do, don't have an existing business idea. I think that there are a lot of people with and without narcolepsy that absolutely hate what they are doing, hate getting up every morning, hate going to work, hate life. And I think that you have to ask yourself why you're doing what you're doing, which is kind of what I had to ask myself back in 2005. Why am I doing what I'm doing, even though I still finished school? But and I really do enjoy law, but is it really what I'm passionate about? And so for people that don't have any ideas yet as to what they want to do, I think 3 things are really critical to cultivating that idea of what it is that you want to do. The first thing, you got to be a self-expert. You have to find out what motivates you, what drives you, what are things that you're good at, what are things that you look forward to when you get up in the morning. These are things that I struggled a long time to figure out for myself, because at the end of the day, I was the only one who could find those things out, could discover those things for myself. It requires self-reflection and the motivation to do that reflection in order to find out, what do I want? What am I good at? What can I possibly pursue? The second one is to do things that you think are impossible. I said for myself, I lived numerous years, I think, in fear of failure, fear of not being able to achieve certain things. And really, I think not being able to accomplish things comes from one of two places. Either somebody tells us that we can't do it, or we tell ourselves. I I have a huge cheerleader. My wife, she tells me I can do anything I want. She's like my ma. I can do anything I want. I set my mind to. Me, on the other hand, I set up a lot of barriers for myself. And I think that in the last 3 years, especially, having little successes lead to big victories, realizing that things are possible. And once you start to realize that things are possible, as to where I was maybe 10 years ago, wondering how can I do this? It's just, I'm never going to be able to stay awake. I'm never going to be able to talk to people. I'm never, each of those little things, as I overcame it, was a success and makes you automatically think that more is possible. And the last thing is to surround yourself with positive people, to surround yourself with people who are doing what you admire, what you want to be doing, who are successful. I think that success breeds success. And if you find people who are, and now in today's, kind of going into forming that business, starting that business, in today's day and age, we can do anything. I mean, it sounds like I was thinking about, what I was going to talk about or what I was going to say, and it seems like really cliche, like, you're only limited by your imagination, and but it's very true that really nowadays everything that we need in order to start a business, in which I had no idea about 3 years ago, is either inside of us or easily accessible at the click of a mouse. For $9.99, I started a domain. For $7.95 a month, I have it hosted on a server. For $45, I got onto alance.com and had somebody to help me with some coding to make a website that looks nice. So I think that the biggest things that set people back are thinking that it's time or money that are the biggest necessities in order to start a business or to be successful in a business. Because I did, and I'll tell you, I don't think I mentioned, it's a residential and commercial cleaning business, which is absolutely nowhere near where I thought life would take me. And now people ask me, I do share with, a select group of people that I did go to law school, and they always say, what happened? But life happens. So, and I took over I bought out an existing cleaning business, and I didn't buy it out with a suitcase full of cash. I bought it out on good faith and a loan from the people who had owned the business previously. But it was a 15-year-old business that had reached a very high peak, done great business, 100 employees, and then I came in and we were down to there was 20 people left. They weren't really turning a profit. And I thought, well, I don't have any resources. I don't, I got some employees, but what do I do with these employees? Who's gonna motivate them or tell them what to do? And really, I haven't needed. Those things have become important. Don't get me wrong. Now, eventually, you do need resources. You do need money. Once you validate yourself and find out that what you're doing is going to lead to some sort of success. But straight out of the gate, I didn't need much to keep things going. I don't know, Sharkina, you want to? Sharkina also, and I didn't know how we were going to divide up the talking here today, because as anybody who knows me knows, I could hold this microphone for like the next 2 hours. Having gone to law school, I'm totally in love with the sound of my own voice. So, and you're a captive audience. So, and don't anybody try leaving either. I was figuring how we were going to divide the talking, and then I realized, and how we were both relevant to this conversation. And then I read Sharakina's biography and her going into the business that she went into and why she's been so successful. And I'm guessing that Sharakina did not have a suitcase full of cash either when she started her business, but she had passion, she had drive. She found something that she was excited about getting up and doing every morning, which for somebody who's constantly tired and doesn't even want to get out of bed in the first place is so important. Not that cleaning does it for me, actually, although 3 years later, I am extremely excited about cleaning equipment and cleaning supplies, because you have to own what you do. But at the same time, Joel, I at the same time I don't. I do have a passion for helping other people. I do have a passion for. I now employ 35 people. We went up to 45, went down to 35. We grow, we shrink, ups and downs. But I do, and it's gonna another cliche. It's gonna sound totally like BS, but I do. I love. There's a woman who's in my office, and she always says, "Why won't you just give me a stamp with your signature, so that way we don't have to always wait for you to come here and sign these paychecks?" And it's actually the part of my job that I love the most, because it actually makes a difference in other people's lives. And that's not something that I thought I would have the benefit of doing. I mean, I do, I guess, help other people in as much as I turn their crappy lives clean, but that part, that's another way in which I guess I help people. Yes, sir. Sure, please. No, go right ahead. Like I said, you. Yeah. Wait, what was the first part of the question? See, I was like, I was zoning out. That's right, the disability part. And you know what? It's actually huge for me because I go up against a lot of other companies that are looking for contracts to do the type of work that I'm doing. And being a white young male, I'm not first in line in anybody's mind in order to receive those contracts. So, and again, you have to play to your strengths. Part of me thinks, oh, why am I going to again raise my hand and say, oh, I'm disabled, so can you help me? But on the other hand, other people play to their strengths too. So I have tried, or am in the process of trying to get that status as a disabled small business owner, so that way I can compete for those contracts that do go to veterans, minorities, women, and people with disabilities. And I'm imagining, I don't know, are you a certified woman business owner?
I'm not. There's a lot of, There's a lot of first certified small business or certified women-owned business. There's a lot of paperwork, and I just truthfully haven't had time to apply for that. But that's actually, you bring up a good point. When I started my business, I did go to the Small Business Administration at my university, and I did, even after I graduated, and I asked them questions. And I'm sure that's one of the things that they could definitely guide you on. So if you're interested in starting a business, asking about disability questions and the same kinds of questions that you would have about what certifications you need and what licenses do you need. And if they don't have that information, they can definitely guide you. But the thing about being an entrepreneur that's really important is a lot of the times you have to seek out the information, because people don't want to give it to you. They don't have time, or they just don't care. So you really have to be thirsty for that information and do a lot of research. And thank God we're in an era where you can go on Google and find anything. It's good and bad, but for us, it's good because we can get all of our hands on the information that we need.
I totally agree. I mean, I knew nothing about the cleaning industry, and now with and I mean, however many years ago, back when internet was in its infancy, I would have not been able to gather even just a fraction of what I know, having been able to go online and see, oh, what are other business owners who are doing what I'm doing? How are they doing it? What are they using? Who are they targeting? And just general business knowledge in general. I think it is a good idea to find out what other people are doing. I do want to say that, and I had mixed emotions about doing this session too, because my wife said, oh, you should go speak about entrepreneurship because you're an entrepreneur, and I thought, oh, that's great, because I have found a lot of fulfillment in doing what I'm doing. It gives, especially given the other challenges I face in my day-to-day life, it gives me purpose. It gives me a reason to get up in the morning and go to work, even when I don't want to. But at the same time, and I thought, oh, that'd be awesome if I could like just pass all that information and that same drive on to other people. And then the next day I was saying, there's no way I can do this. I can't talk to these people because all I have is like sad, depressing things to tell them, because it requires so much time and so much work, and there's so much failure involved. And it's just all these things that are not necessarily easy to deal with when you're already dealing with other failures and other shortcomings. And but if you are, I firmly believe if you are determined, if you can find out what that thing is that you are passionate about. I mean, look at the people on the internet. I mean, there's people who have like don't work at all other than blogging 2 days a week. Some little old woman in some far off place blogging about knitting, and she's got 5 million followers. She's killing it, and all she's talking about is how to knit. It's possible. It's possible, but she loves knitting. She loves it, and that's why even though I don't love knitting, and even though I might not, my first passion might not be cleaning, business, I love business. And so that's why I have devoted time and energy into learning about it, because you have to be passionate about what it is that you do. Otherwise, you end up like the people I mentioned at the beginning, which is actually, I don't know what the statistic is, but they do surveys all the time, and it's such a large statistic of people who hate what they're doing. And
Okay. So I remember working corporate, and it was kind of just, I didn't really know how I felt about my job. I wasn't passionate about it. How many of you have seen Office Space? Okay. So I worked for a paper company, like labels and printers, and there was Nina, whatever, just a moment, there was the guy that was like the super sports guy with all the sports memorabilia. I mean, there was like all those people. And I just kept saying, this is what I have to do. I have to do the corporate thing. And that's what universities tell you to do. Like, you have to graduate. At the time, you have to do this. There weren't really entrepreneurship programs for the students right now, or the people going into university, or if you're going to go back to school. There's a lot of entrepreneurship tracks right now that are very cool, and I highly suggest that you check them out. But I remember I talked to this woman, and she was, she'd been at the company for a while, and she goes, Shar, she goes, get out while you can. She's like, I got used to living a lifestyle where I had to pay for things with the salary, and I can't risk it right now, or I'm scared to risk it. She's like, and I was done. I was like, get me out of here. I put in my 2 weeks after I thought about it for a couple months, and then I put in my 2 weeks, and I had started my business already. And my boss just said, what are you doing? And he was trying to offer me more money. And I said, it's not about the money. It's about, I want to find my passion. I think I'm really good at this. I don't have 30 clients lined up. I'm taking a calculated risk. I had saved a little bit of money from my corporate job. I had support around, like family and friends, and my husband said, I trust you. We know you're not going to make money right away, but go for it. And I took the leap. And it's one of those things too, I feel like as a society, sometimes we're instant gratification. We want all the success, all the results, all today. And it's not going to be like that. Like what Jason said, fear of failure. It's an everyday thing for me. I hope I don't fail today. I hope I don't mess up this conference too much. You guys like it, right? Okay, good. So, it's one of those things where you just have to find your passion, see how you can calculate and make money doing it, even if it's not right away, and you just go for it. I started with an ad on Craigslist. I put an ad, I got my first wedding for $400, and I ran it, and I worked my behind off. And I said, never again am I charging $400 for a wedding. And then I just kept going. Yeah.
So that's great if you have spouses to rely on for insurance, to go out on your own and not have insurance, and not work for a company that pays you the insurance. How do you pay for your meds to function to start the job?
Aren't there part-time jobs that you can get part-time, but like that, I can't really speak to this, but there are options. So I know a lot of entrepreneurs where they would get a part-time job that offers benefits, so you can still work that and do entrepreneurial things on the side until you can grow it.
I ride without health insurance.
Yeah, I don't even.
Everything has to be calculated. So everything has to. Oh wow, everything has to be calculated so that way it works for me. I mean, you have to figure out what's going to work best, obviously, for you. I mean, for me, I've worked long and hard with my doctors in order to find medications that work for me but are still reasonably priced so that way I can afford them out of pocket. I take a medication that's like $500 a month, but luckily through a program with the pharmaceutical company, I get it for like 75. My doctors, I see great doctors at Rush in Chicago. I'm only responsible for being a self-pay. I'm only responsible for a percentage of that. And given that the hospital has ungodly amounts of money, I'm always calling, asking them to write off portions of what I owe. So I work my way through it. It is scary because obviously, if I'm stricken with cancer tomorrow, that's going to be a totally different story. And being young, obviously, I'm probably a little less alarmed about what's going to happen tomorrow. Although then again, that's maybe just me in general because it's like as long as I can get from day to day, I'm good. So he was asking about health insurance and what you do if you're going to go out on your own and run your own or have your own business, and then you're not going to have health insurance. How are you going to pay for your medication? How are you going to have doctors? Um, It is a big deal. It is a big deal, and that's why I'm just sharing the way that I make it work. Could I get health insurance? Yes. Could I get it through could I put it through the company? Yes. Would it cost money? Yes. I choose not to do it because I need that money for other things because the company needs to grow. So I, what do you call that? I put my life up against. I bargain with my life in order to raise capital for the company. So
For me, I don't have narcolepsy, so I obviously can't speak to that. But what I will honestly say is I didn't just quit my job and say, I'm going to go quit and I'm going to do it. I did it for a good amount of time on the side. So I did struggle. I did work. There were a lot of things. I was actually a caregiver. I had a lot of stuff going on. But what I will say is, you know, like what you were saying before with the internet, find something that you like, start slowly. There's ways that you can make money over time with blogging or with Oh, sorry. With I just talk a lot, and I don't even know if I have the microphone half the time. But little things, even like 5 hours a week. Start small. Do something, even if it's researching or looking online. Or there are people that make money. There are these bloggers that over time they get so many readers, like knitting.
like the woman this
It
morning who
kills
has
me. I
a
love
narcolepsy
it.
blog. The woman this morning who has a narcolepsy blog. She is Claire Crisp. She's an awesome writer. She didn't show up one day on the internet with 10,000 followers. She cultivated these people over a period of time, and it takes time to grow in that regard. Um, what Sharkina is saying about taking time and investing in yourself is so important. And if we had to stop right now and I could only say one more thing, I would say that you need to, or I should say, if I had one thing to do over, I would start earlier because you have those little successes. You find out that certain things are possible, and then I start to think, wow, what if I would have done it just like 10 years earlier? Like if I would have not been afraid to go out and try to pursue something, try to be successful, try to have my own business. there are a lot. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, no, that's a great question because it requires an enormous amount of self-discipline because really the only person who you're accountable to is your. Thank you. I keep forgetting. It's a great question because it requires a lot of self-discipline because really the only person who you're accountable to is yourself at the end of the day. Even though I have 35 people working for me, I find myself like, cleaning the toilet in the bathroom and, at the same time doing the books and, you do everything. The only thing that's been helpful to me and the reason why I saw benefit in being out on my own is because I'm not constrained necessarily by a predetermined timeline. Nobody's telling me you have to have this done by then. I know when things have to be done, and so the only person who I have to answer to is myself. And so it's a good thing and a bad thing at the same time. I love that I have a couch in my office. I thought, man, I'm going to be in this office on this couch like 12 hours a day. And I actually, outside of like a daily nap, I rarely sleep on it because I have grown to be so passionate about what I'm doing, about succeeding, about continuing a company that has 35 people who are depending on it to succeed. That it motivates me. It motivates me to keep going. It motivates me to the point where and that's why I said if I was doing, I don't know what else I could do, and maybe I will go back to law. I don't know. I always say I haven't really figured out what I want to do when I grow up yet, but it has to be some. If I was going to replace it with something, it'd have to be something that's equally as rewarding, equally as like that I care just as much about because there's been other things, other opportunities where I just like it's not. I can't. It doesn't motivate me. It does not motivate me. But as far as like the special skills that we have, I mean, I'm not going to disagree. We are two amazing people. But but really, going through law school, I always tell people I felt like an absolute fraud because I did not do all the reading that was required. The 300 pages a night of reading. And so I always felt like, I have this degree, and everybody actually learned something. And how did I didn't really learn anything. But I learned that I have an amazing coping skills that I've cultivated. Again, it depends on what point of the journey you're in too. Back in 2007, 2008, when I came to my first conference, anybody telling me these things that I'm telling you now, being in the position I was in then, it probably would have been in one ear and out the other. And it's kind of it's a journey that everybody has to make on their own. But the skills that I have, the coping skills, I realize that I can learn by listening. I can learn by seeing what's put on the board in class. I learned that I have excellent BS skills, and I have a great mouthpiece, which makes a good salesman. And so therefore it's a strength that I play to my strengths rather than what I'm not so strong at. Don't get me wrong, I beat myself up every day about the things that I wish I was strong at and am not because I spend more time sleeping than I do anything else. But those are skills that other people, those BS skills, a lot of people don't have. A lot of people I went to law school with, they couldn't hold a conversation with a client to save their life. Very intelligent, very well educated, no people skills. So everybody has their school, I guess, what your parents call school of hard knocks, my dad always said. Yes, sir. You do have your own business? Doing, okay.
Sorry, and I mumble too, so it doesn't help. But I can set my own schedule, and there's a lot of societal pressure. I mean, there's a guy that works right next to me. We've got like this paper wall, so I can hear everything. And he even gives me grimaces because I leave at 1 o'clock to go work out. which really helps me so I don't have to take as much medication. I can take a nap whenever I want. I can work whatever hours I want. So there's a lot of flexibility in that you wouldn't get in a corporate job. So that's one of the huge advantages. And I was just talking to my dad because he's the one that I actually bought the business from, and he trained me for many, many years. I'm very, very blessed to be doing what I'm doing because if I had the schedule that I take now and did it in a corporate world, I'd be fired within a week. It would not work. But I've had a lot of success. Like you, I know what to do, when to do it, and it doesn't play into the societal pressures that you have of, you have to be there from 9 to, and you can't leave till 5 o'clock or you're a bad employee. I can work, 3 hours in the morning, take a couple hours off in the afternoon, work in the evening or work a little bit in the weekend. I know what time of the year where there's a peak season where I should really be pushing hard, stuff like that. So it's one of the wonderful benefits of having your own business, I think. So.
Which are okay. Hmm. Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I think that what I meant in terms of setting your own schedule, I think I know what the deadlines are, so I'm not being accountable to somebody else's deadline. I'm being accountable to the deadline itself. But that's all. I mean, it's awesome what you say though, and even in doing what you're doing with deadlines, it sounds like you've made it work for yourself. Like you find ways to get to. I mean, I screw up all the time, and that's just part. It's true though. It's true. But you know what though? And I am hard on myself. I'm like my biggest. I mean, I give myself the hardest kick in the ass of anybody. But I have to screw up in order to find out how to make things work going forward. You gotta. I always tell even my employees, you got to crawl before you can walk. So. I mean, I don't have a multi-million-dollar business, but hopefully it's going, with time it will get there.
And I think from just a small business perspective, a lot of the entrepreneurs that I know, the nice thing is that you can I know what you were saying about setting your own schedule. There are deadlines. There's deadlines anywhere in life about anything that you do. And so when I meet with clients as an event planner, I tell them realistically, I'm not a big corporation. I work really hard, but there are, there are restrictions sometimes, if you're a woman and you want to have a family and you have kids, or there's always like deadlines and restrictions, or there's hard stops. If I let my clients run my life, I would work 24/7. I would have my phone ringing at 1 o'clock in the morning about somebody's wedding a year from now. So it's always about setting deadlines and being realistic in our consultations and saying, look, here are office hours. Here's what I do. Realistically, here's when I get back to my clients about X, Y, Z. And that's why, and I was telling somebody, and that's why I was asked to do this, even though I don't have narcolepsy. I think event planning, if you are a small business owner and you do a few events a year, I think it's great for somebody with narcolepsy because you can set your hours. You can really control what clients you take. And you can really say, okay, I want to do parties, or I want to do this. And here is the deadline. Here's how long out I plan. Here are my hours. This is what I do. So you're just, as long as you're transparent with your clients, you'll still get crazy people that work with you. And then sometimes you have to consider just, do you want to work for them? But I think that's the thing that I like is that, yes, I have deadlines, but I can tell them I don't want to take that, or, there are those things. So I think you guys should consider event planning. I'm biased, but
Don't do residential commercial cleaning. It's no, it's. I lost what I was gonna say. this gentleman up front here just gave me something to read, and it made me think. It goes along with what I was thinking earlier myself too, because really and that's why I say I don't know what I want to do when I grow up yet, because I really want to do something that when I get to the end is something that I couldn't have lived without doing. Rather than having done something like, oh yeah, I did this, and okay, well, and blogged about knitting, whatever it is. But if that was my thing, and I can get to the end and say, you know what, I did something that I wanted to do, something that was important to me. And this gentleman gave me this. I can't even make it. Hold on. It says, that thing that you do after your day job, in your free time, too early in the morning, too late at night, that thing you read about, write about, think about, in fact, fantasize about, that thing that you do when you're all alone and there's no one to impress, nothing to prove, no money to be made, simply a passion to pursue, that's it. That's your thing. That's your heart, your guide. That's the thing that you must do. And I find that it's always, I mean, surrounding myself with other business owners, with other people who are doing the things that they want to do, that is it. Like you are going to naturally be, I don't want to say naturally because you might suck at what you want, doing what you really want to do. But 9 times out of 10, I'm not going to lie to you, but at the end of the day, you are going to, 9 times out of 10, people who are doing what they really want to be doing are doing an amazing job doing it, because it's what they want to be doing. And even if you aren't that great at doing what you're doing, what do you have to lose? For me personally, all I had to lose, I mean, I could have gone to disability, I could have continued to sit at home, or I could have moved forward. And in moving forward, I have not only gained not financial success, business, success in business, but I've helped myself in life in dealing with narcolepsy. Yes, ma'am. There are resources that are available. Like Sharkina was saying, through women-owned businesses, through Women-Owned Business Association, through the Small Business Association, entrepreneurship competitions. There are a lot of opportunities to get money. But really, and that's why I kind of said the thing earlier about the $9.95 for the domain and the $7.95 because really I want to be realistic about what you can do. I mean, not too many people can just walk out, unless you go out and get your venture capitalist or your angel investor. You're not going to be able to go out and just wham, I got a Fortune 500 company. You're going to have to start small and work your way up. And there's been something very frustrating to me because coming into a business that wasn't turning a profit, I have nothing to work with. So everything that comes in automatically goes back out. And so how am I ever going to grow? But I have to look for ways to grow that don't take a lot of money. And that's why I said I wanted a website. Well, I know nothing about developing a website, but now they do have resources online where you can put out an ad for somebody to design a website for you or help you with a website, $50, $100. You bid, and they tell you if they can do it for you or not. It's helped me to get things done.
I think starting small is really important. I think doing it on the side a few hours a week is very important. If it's something that you think that you're going to want to accomplish in this lifetime, there's no better time to start than the present as far as researching. Talking to people that are in the field, shadowing, calling, asking for informational interviews is really important. You might think you like something, but then you talk to somebody that doesn't. You're like, not so much, and you saved yourself a bunch of money. But you can always explore, and I think that's why information is power. As far as what it takes to start a business, when I put my ad on Craigslist, it was free. I didn't know anything about event planning. I had planned events for people that I knew. This couple took a chance on me. I started as a freelance, so I didn't even have an LLC. I didn't have an office. I didn't have anything. This day and age, Facebook, social media, you can create a page. The thing that I love is that you can actually get out. Your skills are so valuable. Nobody else is like you. You are only made once. You have certain skills and talents that nobody else possesses. Your personality is completely yours, and that's what people fall in love with, especially with small business. People do business with other small businesses because they need their talent, but also my clients book me because I think they like me. I mean, I hope, that's what they say. They're like, we met with so-and-so, but we felt a good fit with you. And I might have been more expensive than somebody else. They said you were $1,000 more, but we liked you and we felt like you would take care of us. Well, you sell yourself. We're not corporate. We're human. I'm going to mess up. I'm going to do things. I can't be scared of that. I'm terrified of that.
You know what? Actually, you know what I am passionate. The reason I am passionate about cleaning, and I totally forgot about this part. 4.5 years ago, I took a job as a young lady's father, and it's actually the most challenging job I've ever had in my life. We were at home together for 9 months. My wife was at work. I didn't think all the same fears of a job I had with this job. I thought there's no way I'm going to succeed. I'm going to, the fire department's going to show up. My daughter's going to be out on the front lawn, and I'm going to be fast asleep in bed. But I did realize back then that, and it's part of a movement. It's bigger movement in Chicago because people are very environmentally aware there. So it's kind of a trend where people are very concerned about what products their kids are exposed to, what is in those chemicals that are cleaning their homes, the methods that are being used. And so I took a huge interest in that because all of a sudden I had somebody that I cared about way more than I will ever care about myself. And so I thought, wow, I can't believe that I'm the only person, the only parent in this world that has that feeling. So I am playing to other people, other parents, other couples that have that same concern, who are concerned about what they're exposed to. I mean, don't get me wrong. If you want me to come with the arsenic-laced chemicals and kill you, I will. For the right price. But but I firmly believe in it, and I guess that's, you just made me think of it, Sharkina. It's not getting people. I got a lot of these $1,000,000 phrases. It's not getting people to buy what you have. It's getting people to believe what you believe. And so I believe in it. Perception is reality. I believe in it, so I get other people to believe in it. Even if they come to me completely convinced that I'm out of my mind, I get people to buy it because I believe in it. I'd be so terrible at it if I didn't believe in it, because it wouldn't be legit.
So I listen to a lot of motivational TED Talks and podcasts and things like that. So if anybody's interested and they want it, you can give me your email and I'll forward them to you. I'm very big on that. I'm very big on surrounding myself with other entrepreneurs. I always surround myself with people that are further along than me, that are more talented than me, that have skills that I don't have. And so I learn from them. I lean on them. And also, when you're starting your business, even if it's
Is that why you never come to see me?
doing things, what?
So is that why you never come to see me?
I'll send it to you. Everyone that you know knows how to do something. So my husband did, websites. So I used my husband's skills, and I said, I'll, walk the dog, or I'll do something, cook for you, just do my website. Now you can use Wix.com. It's a free website company. Social media, free. Get the word out there. Even if you're selling something that you knit for $5 a piece, start small. Try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to invest that much in it. It's entrepreneurs. Sometimes they shoot, then they aim. That's a phrase. They just I always throw things to the wall and see what sticks. And if it doesn't work, then, we reconfigure and we try again. But that's the thing, is you have to fail a lot. You have to be okay with that. You have to just try it. Try it, and what's the worst that can happen? Don't take a huge financial risk, but do something small. Just even if it's like reading an article a day or listen to a TED Talks, surround yourself with that positivity, and I think, what's the worst that can happen? You just become more educated on a subject, and you have more to talk about at a dinner party or something.
We only have like a couple minutes left, and I am really interested in what this gentleman wanted to know, which is who else is an entrepreneur in here? Entrepreneurs. Sir, what do you do? Graphic designer. Who else? Import export of textiles. Sounds sexy. That's true. Yes, sir. Score is a great. It's a great resource. Go ahead.
Retired entrepreneurs or former business owners or corporate people that will guide you for free. And I mean, it's just basically a Okay, yeah.
It's an awesome resource, and there's people inevitably in your area. Who else has a small business? A flour mill? Interesting. Very interesting.
I'm in the software space,
Okay.
so that makes it easy. I got a standing desk, so I can move around or move my laptop to different places and do work.
Go away. Go away.
I can get off and go around the clock as well if they're around or something. That's pretty key. I run the work because I work in like a co-working office area, and then make sure that they break throughout the day, and then come back to that if need be.
That's another thing. You saying sharing space. That's huge, and I don't know if that's huge in other parts of the country, but in Chicago, you can lease an address. You can lease an office space with a million other people, but you have your own designated area to work. If you need somewhere to work and somewhere for things to be sent, it's possible. So there's a lot of things like that. No, that's all. That's.
We did that in our business school.
I try to get student interns all the time.
Entrepreneur. So
Anybody else? Questions, comments, concerns? Want to share what they do?
I hope you guys feel a little bit more inspired. Maybe you guys can chat after this. Thanks for coming to our session.
Yeah, thank you.